Welcome back to part 3 of our plant-based meat extravaganza. So by now, do you think meat substitutes are just a brief gimmick, or do you think they're here to stay? We certainly hope that the latter is true, and hopefully we'll be able to convince you too by the end of this video. Stay tuned. Today, in part 3, I'm going to be talking about the top 5 benefits, not just health benefits, of eating plant-based meats rather than actual meat. If you don't remember or simply don't care, I'm Dr. Jenny Prabhu, CEO and co-founder of Circee Health, which is a disease prevention and reversal program. Find out more on our website. I'm a double-boarded U.S.-trained physician in both internal medicine, care of adults, and pediatrics, care of kids. So before we get into the meat of my video, let's go over some statistics, or fun facts, as our kids like to say. It may be surprising to you to hear that one of the biggest issues facing the planet today is actually the massive amount of meat consumed by humans every day. In fact, according to the United Nations Food and Agricultural Organization, livestock production generates about 18% of global greenhouse gas emissions. That's a huge percentage. So, for those who do love meat, it's always important to keep an open mind about what is on the table, and therefore what is going into your stomach and what the ramifications of this may be for your health, but also for the world in general. Thankfully, with the recent advantages in science and technology, especially food-related technology, it's now possible to create a variety of meats that are more closely resembling the real thing than ever before, like I talked about in earlier videos. So let's get into those 5 reasons. Number 1, for the animals. Unfortunately, other than the obvious fact that eating meat ends an animal's life, one should also keep in mind that these animals are often tortured for weeks and months before being sacrificed for meat. For example, chickens are piled one on top of each other in tiny little crates so they can't move around in factory farms. And did you know that baby male chicks are actually just straight up sacrificed? Because they're not needed to make eggs, correct? And not to mention the massive wastage of excess animal parts that aren't being used for human consumption, of course in commercial and factory farms. Number 2, the environment, environmental conservation. Unfortunately, there are some major environmental issues with the production and consumption of meat. Let's get into them. So raising meat, you have to remember, takes vast quantities of feed. Raising those animals, they have to be fed. Millions of acres have been plowed over for large monoculture, meaning just one crop. These crop fields decimate rainforests, deciduous forests, just to feed the livestock, something to keep in mind. The process of converting these natural habitats to agriculture releases carbon pollution and other harmful substances like antibiotics, bacteria, pesticides, and heavy metals directly into the surrounding environment and into the water supply, thereby also contributing to climate change. And finally, many people forget about the issues with the animals' output themselves while they're still alive. When their manure decomposes, it releases emissions into the atmosphere, including methane, ammonia, and carbon dioxide, which further thins our precious ozone layer. And finally, livestock also emit straight-up methane, whether burping or flatulence, and that goes straight up into the atmosphere, again, harming our precious protection from the sun's harmful rays. So before I get on to those last 2 points, I want to please ask you to subscribe to and like our channel so that you can be notified for more exciting and fun videos. And if you want even more information, please go to our website, www.circeehealth.com, where you can get a free health scoring quiz and comprehensive health report that will tell you more than you ever wanted to know about yourself, but hopefully help you too. Did I say last 2? I meant last 3. Number 3, sleep better, which might help my memory better, actually. It's really interesting to know that plant-based diets are high in complex carbohydrates, meaning non-refined carbohydrates, not white, but brown and whole grain things, including fiber, isoflavones, which are nutrients that are only found in plants. And these have actually been found to help you sleep longer and better quality sleep. Also, plant-based foods are surprisingly a great source of tryptophan and melatonin. You may have heard of tryptophan related to turkey and other fowl, but actually it's found in a lot of plant-based foods too. So rather than popping a melatonin or tryptophan pill, just have some excellent plant-based foods and plant-based meats. You might be surprised. Number 4, everyone's favorite reason, mine included, if you're switching to a plant-based diet that incorporates plant-based meat, I promise you will lose weight. You don't have to change anything else, just change that aspect of your diet. Plant-based foods are not calorie dense. You have to eat nearly double the amount of plants to get the same number of calories as animal-based foods, whether it's meat or even dairy. Also, it's important to remember you can eat as much food and take as many vitamins as you want. But if your body isn't getting the right nutrients in their natural form, meaning you just eating them, not in a pill, you won't be able to maximize your weight loss potential and make your body the efficient machine that it has the potential to be. I know it's in you. And finally, remember that inflammation has recently been discovered to be a huge factor in weight gain. And a plant-based diet is, by nature, totally anti-inflammatory. So another bonus. And what you've all been waiting for, the number 1 reason for eating more plant-based meats and plant-based food in general is, drum roll please, to avoid and prevent chronic disease. By cutting down on the amount of saturated fats in your diet, by the way, plant-based food has almost no saturated fat versus animal-based meats, tons of it. Also, you'll be simultaneously increasing your fiber and vitamin content. You will be much, much, much less prone to illnesses like diabetes, arthritis, thyroid problems, skin problems, PCOS. I could go on for hours. And believe it or not, just to name an example, one of the most scientifically proven ways to avoid cancer is to adopt a whole food, plant-based diet. Other than quitting smoking and drinking, some scientists say this is the best thing you can do to avoid getting this horrible disease. So keep that in mind. So I bet that by now, after watching this riveting video, you must be wondering, is there any scientific evidence to all the stuff I just told you about? Or am I just releasing crazy information from my behind, like the cows releasing methane? Stay tuned for the final part of this series to find out all that evidence. If you're like me, the anticipation is killing me.
Answer some of those questions that you might have in your, that you might have.